$1 million sounds like a lot, right? But in retirement, it may not go as far as you think. Here in Michigan, a new report shows that nest egg could actually run out in about 21 years.
Yeah, so how much do you really need and how do you get there? Financial expert Matt Eilers, you join us now with some answers. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. That question, it's the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
Is it enough?
Literally $1 million.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Seriously. So I actually have a little bit of an issue with the question. I think it's the wrong thing to be asking.
Oh,
Okay.
Because really what retirement is all about is it's about income. And it's about having clarity and having confidence that you can spend. So I'll give you an example. So is $1 million enough? Well, maybe if you need $30,000 a year, the answer could be yes. But if you need $200,000 a year in retirement, then the answer is absolutely no.
Right.
So I like to help our clients and retirees, rather than chase, a big magic number, have an understanding of what their retirement needs to look like from an income perspective. So when they think of the lifestyle that they want to live throughout retirement, all the things that they're going to do. So we categorize income into two categories: needs and wants. So the needs are all the things that we have to have these happen no matter what.
Right.
This is housing, utilities, food, transportation, insurance, things of that nature. That would be kind of like the necessary, mandatory need. And then beyond that are all the other things that we like to do, right? So entertainment, travel, dining out, things of that nature. Maybe they want to be charitably inclined in retirement, or gift, or spoil the grandkids. So we have these two categories. And to really understand what the number is, we need to back into it. If we're sitting down with a family that's in their early 60s, we're likely planning for a 30-plus year retirement. That's a long time. I mean, the chances of someone living into their 90s these days is significant. So we have to look at how much money is that going to cost, those wanted expenses, for that entire span of their retirement, and then we have to adjust it for inflation. So that's a way that we really need to back into the number as financial planners.
Yeah.
And we've really just determined and uncovered it's not about the big number, it's about what the lifestyle looks like.
Yeah, the lifestyle is going to be important. So this report is what we're going off of, and
Yep.
$1 million in Michigan may not be enough to retire.
Correct.
Can you talk about the report? What is it specifically saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So it gives some of the different milestones. It says $1 million could last 21 years.
Yeah, and maybe,
on
maybe at
average.
one point $1 million was the number to go for,
Very
right?
well,
Yeah.
very well could have been, yes. So, but it gives out some milestones that people can be reaching at, age 30, age 40, age 60. I'll hit those for a moment, but I say take it with a grain of salt, because again, it all depends on lifestyle.
Right.
By 30, they say you should have the amount of your annual salary saved for retirement, preferably in a retirement plan like a 401k or an IRA or a 403b, something like that. By age 40, you should have accumulated 3 times what your annual salary is at that point. And this is the one that I think starts to get people's heads spinning a little bit, is by age 60, your goal should be 8 times your annual salary. And at retirement, a benchmark is 10 to 12 times your salary saved. So that's kind of an easy way to back into it. But again, how long that money could last largely depends on your lifestyle. So we see a lot of these reports, we see a lot of these articles, and I just use them as a starting point really for the discussion with families to say, all right, let's find out what your number is.
Right.
Because having one number for everybody, it's just too cookie cutter, and everybody's situations are so unique.
Yeah, so let's start off with like some guidelines, right? I mean, you said everyone's different. So can you talk about what people may want to pay attention to as they're looking to make this plan for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you just hit an important keyword, Tanner, and that was the word plan. This all comes down to having a written plan for how you're going to, number one, save for retirement, but then how you're going to spend and distribute throughout retirement. So a plan, I believe, starts as soon as you start saving for retirement. When you get your first job and you have a company-sponsored retirement account, contribute to it. Especially don't leave free money on the table. So if you have a 401k, 403b, 457, TSP, an opportunity, those are all retirement accounts. Kick in contributions and make sure at the very least you're getting your match. If you have a company that's matching 3%, do not match less than that. That's
Right.
called free money. We don't want to leave that on the table. And I recommend for most, young savers and most people approaching retirement that they're saving 10 to 15% of their income from their paychecks. And that can seem like a lot right out of the gates, especially if you're not doing it right now.
Right.
But you can kind of phase in into that level of saving and spending, and that's really going to help you get compound interest on your side as you build this nest egg to approach retirement. And then additionally, you have other savings tools outside of your company retirement plans. That's an IRA. Whether or not it's a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, taking advantage of some of those contributions can be a really, really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when we're talking about that 15% mark, that
Yep.
is the goal to shoot for, of
Yep.
course. But where are most people falling within how much they're contributing to retirement and how they're on track to get that amount that they need for retirement?
Correct. There was a stat here that I found that was I want to just reference it because it was a little bit alarming. It's how much people really haven't been saving, and it just goes to show where people are. So, on average, young savers under 35 have about $49,000 put away for retirement, and we just know that's just not enough. And the average person right now, between 65 and 74, has just over $600,000 saved, and we just talked about how $1 million likely isn't going to be enough. So I believe that there is a little bit of a fix that needs to take place fiscally in the mindset of the saver out there,
Yeah.
and it's never too late to start planning. It's never too late to start saving. We just talked about yesterday on an episode of our radio show, we talked about the old Chinese proverb, which was the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, which just means it's not too late to catch up.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the things that we can do, right? I know automation is really big,
Yes.
and in terms of spending money or saving that money. What should we be doing? I mean, automation's one. What does that entail, and
Yep.
what are some other things that we can do?
Yeah, I love that you brought up the automation because it makes it easy to do this. Find the number that you can save. So if that number is 10%, let's automate that so that you don't have to think about it. And if that's into your company sponsored plan, that's easy. You can just put that percentage, it's gonna start coming out of the checks. But you can also automate if you wanna start stepping that up. If you wanna bump from 10 to 11% savings, you can have that triggered so you don't have to do it. Outside of your company sponsored plans, if you're contributing to, let's say, an IRA, we can automate that as well. So maybe say, you know what, I wanna just put in $150 a month into this IRA account. You can automate that. You can make that a manual distribution from your checking account to that retirement account so that you don't have to think about it. And that, in a way, it forms the habit of saving without you having to take the necessary steps of remembering every single month to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Having those steps kind of come together to be able to, in the end, produce this number, this nest egg that would actually end up being enough for retirement. But what if somebody's close to retirement right now and they're looking at their retirement account and thinking, this simply isn't
I'm sure
enough?
that happens a lot.
It does happen. No, it absolutely does, more often than not. So there are some things out there called catch-up contributions that the IRS has in place, which allows people to catch up and save more, so to speak, into their retirement account. So typically, in like a 401k, you can't contribute more than $23,500 a year. But when you reach age 50, you have what's called a catch-up contribution, which means you can contribute an additional $7,500. So now that's a significant addition. And then with IRAs, individuals over 50 can catch up an additional $1,000 into those accounts. So those are some things that I really recommend having a conversation with a financial professional to see in your written plan how much of a catch-up should you be taking advantage of to know if you're chasing the right number or not.
Okay, those all good tips, and of course we have to leave the conversation there. Matt Eilers with Medalist Wealth Management. We always appreciate you
Yes.
coming in and talking about
Love
this
being
stuff.
here, guys.
Helps
Thank
us
you.
break it all down, especially I know finances are top of mind when it comes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the economy and things like that these days. We always appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.